Hello, this is my miniature TED Talk. My name is Colton Wedge, and today I'm going to be talking about the importance of summer camp for kids and for our youth, and even for those of us here in college. And I'll be getting a little bit of detail about that a little bit later on in this TED Talk, I guess. So first off, I wanted to say I am a little bit biased when it comes to this topic. As you can see, I am an archery instructor with the YMCA. I teach archery and riflery at Camp Weewa in Apopka, Florida. But even though I am slightly biased towards the importance of summer camp and kids, I have seen passions and seen what I'm going to discuss in this video, in this little persuasive video, I guess. I've seen it happen with students. I've seen it happen with kids of all ages, and we're going to start talking about it. So first off, relationships. According to the ACA, 96% of students reported in kids reported that they make new friends at camp. 96%. This is especially important for kids like myself who are naturally introverted, who might not have gone outside their comfort zone otherwise. And they go to camp and, oh my gosh, there's like-minded people, there's students that I can pour into them, and opportunities for them to pour into others as well. 93% help me get to know kids, help kids get to know kids that are different from themselves. This also applies to adults that work in campsites as well. Interestingly enough, we had counselors at our camp who were from Great Britain. They came through the Camp America organization that uses Western European college up to 28, 30 years of age, and they bring the counselors down to the United States to work at a selected campsite for the summer. And the students also get to experience other cultures. We've had Muslim students at our campsite in Camp Weewa. We've had Christian students, races of all kinds, and it just helps the students experience different cultures from their own. Next up, pardon, then again, this is my personal experience, and this is also coming from students according to the American Camp Association, AmericanCampAssociation.org's website. They said that 92% of students help me feel good, and the people at camp help me feel good about myself. So as an archery instructor and as a camp counselor for this past summer and going into this summer, one of our, I guess, unspoken rules and unspoken descriptions for our job was to make sure kids never felt like they were doing bad, that they never missed, we wanted to always encourage them, even though they might not have been doing the activity well. Again, I speak from my archery experience, a sport that's really difficult to master, especially for younger kids, because of its intricate attention to detail and its intricate stances and the way that the sport has to be done. Sports in general are something that a lot of younger kids struggle with because there's a lot of hand-eye coordination and there's a lot of thinking and skill involved. And I noticed this especially with the younger kids, that they didn't have the motor skills to properly shoot a bow. And even if they didn't, I was by their side saying, you got it. And some of them, even 7 years old, managed to shoot a bow and hit the target successfully. So that was a big wow moment for me as a counselor and as a instructor for camp. So part of our job as counselors and as instructors to make the kids feel good about themselves, and the American Camp Association confirms that 92% of kids say, yeah, after camp, I felt good about myself. So building up the self-esteem for those that might not have had other sources of self-esteem boost. They say 74% at camp I did things that I was afraid of to do at first. One of our biggest things at our camp, at Camp Weewa, was our 40-foot rock wall, appropriately named Goliath. This rock wall was, like I said, 40 foot, 4 stories, 10 stories, it's 100 feet, 10 stories, and even the older kids, I'm specifically referring to the older boys, who, especially at 12 and 13 years old, are very daring and very willing to take risks, whether or not they think it through logically. They were afraid to go up the rock wall. And I'm not saying all of them, but there were a few that were like, I don't want to do this because I don't want to get hurt. That's weird coming from a 13-year-old boy because typically they don't care. But they say, and the statistic proves, 74% of kids that went to camp, according to the American Camp Association, had fun in activity that they wouldn't have otherwise done, or they would be too afraid to do, or they just didn't have the opportunity to do. So camping is a perfect way for students, for kids, for even high schoolers to get out and experience something new and push the limits of their own mental boundaries. And like I said, teaching archery, I had kids that never shot before in their lives, and they shot, and it was like an amazing epiphany that they had, and absolutely loved every minute of it. Now we talk to the parents, because this is ultimately who I'm talking to in this crowd. So 70% of parents said that their kids gained a special self-confidence at camp, and this goes back to the counselor's job and the staff's job at whatever camp they choose to encourage that child through what might be a difficult experience for them. 69% says the child remains in contact with people from camp, whether that be counselors or friends. The counselor-student relationship is an interesting one, and not all camps have ways to do so. But at my camp, we do. And it's an amazing opportunity to check on your student, to watch them grow as human beings, and to watch them grow as individuals. 65% of children continue to participate in some of the new activities that they acquired at camp. I actually had one of my students at camp message me the other day, and he said that he is looking for an archery range. He was one of the few that did extremely well. I shouldn't say one of the few. He was one that did extremely well in my archery class, and he had the opportunity to shoot this bow. I didn't let my kids shoot my personal bow for obvious reasons, but he was one that was an amazing shooter, was more of an instinctive shooter, and he earned the Little Chief Award, which is another way that we at Camp Weewa boost kids' egos and self-esteem. We give them awards for accomplishments. We give them awards for doing something that they probably wouldn't have done. So he earned the Little Chief Award, which is the highest award in all of the activities. And in archery, it's really difficult. I purposefully made it difficult because I really wanted the recipients to feel like, oh my gosh, I did something important at camp. And that's 65%. I'm sure that student I'm thinking of is probably one of that 65%. So staff results. Now this is important because I work at camp, and I know many college-age students do. So 95% of staff said being a part of a group working toward a common goal had a positive effect on me, and I'm definitely part of that 95%. So like I said going into the video, I'm extremely introverted. I'm an introverted, intuitive thinker, and I don't tend to go outside of my normal reclusive comfort zone. But I decided this past summer that I was going to go work at a summer camp, and it absolutely amazed me, the people that I met and the opportunities that I gained from working at camp. 84% says camps around with people with high standards. I definitely agree to that as well. All of my counselors held each other and held me to a higher standard that otherwise would not have been there. And being part of a unified camp community changed me personally for the better. Like I said, I grew out of my comfort shell. I broke out. I made new friends that I still work with, and things like that. So why is it important to send kids to camp? Well, this is simple. First off, critical thinking and leadership skills, increased physical activity, direct experience in nature and learning more about being closer to Earth, safety away from home. Like I said, we're trained to keep kids safe. Doesn't matter what campsite you go to. If you go to YMCA camp or a church camp, we're trained, or Boy Scout camp. Safety away from home, greater self-reliance, reduce summer learning loss, an extremely important thing for parents and future teachers like myself, positive risk-taking, a strong sense of community, and memories that will last a lifetime. So I hope I could convince you to send your kids to camp, And I hope that next time, or when you have kids, or if you have kids, that you consider this amazing opportunity to give them into their life. Thank you.